So now, all of you coming from professional backgrounds, if you are trying to figure out what are the next big bets that Fortune 500 companies and enterprises are making in the world of Web3, then our next panel is for you. I would love to invite on stage our moderator, Kalok Day, who is partner at Blockchange Ventures, and I will let her do the introductions.
Hi all, my name is Kalok Day Weingart Ryan. As Sonia mentioned, thank you Sonia for that lovely introduction. I'm a general partner at Blockchange Ventures. I'm going to actually jump right into it and invite our panelists on the stage. We've got Duke from Sardine.ai. We've got Christian, who's the Chief Marketing Officer. Come right up, you guys, at Hedera. And we've got Gary, who is a product leader on the Web3 side of things at Salesforce. While they're hunkering down and settling in, let me frame this conversation for today. So when I look back at 2022, it was a tough year for the blockchain. It was a tough year for the macro economy broadly, but for the blockchain as well. The cryptocurrency market lost, I think, $1.5 trillion in market cap. And it was a lot of big events that I won't get into the details on, but that created some investor panic and frankly, some really tough sentiment. But when I zoom out and think about the future of the blockchain, there's one piece that is giving me so much optimism and confidence on the blockchain investment opportunity, and that's really around enterprise adoption. We're seeing more of it than we've ever seen before from people like Blackstone, Fidelity, Nike, Google. Everybody is thinking about the transformative value of the blockchain and thinking about how to embed it in their work. I've got 3 great examples of that today. I've already introduced them at a high level, but if you guys could give your name, your role, and on a personal note, what brought you to the blockchain originally? I'll start with you.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for being here today. So my name is Christian Hasker. I am the Chief Marketing Officer for Hedera. In the spirit of decentralization, I work for another organization called Swirlds Labs. And what brought me to blockchain, happenstance brought me to blockchain. Actually, I had a consulting company, and the co-founders of what became Hedera needed positioning, messaging, go-to-market, all of that, and that's what my company specialized in. But I had no intention of joining full-time, but here I am 5 years later, still doing full-time. Such is the power of blockchain. And $1.2 trillion when I... $1.5 trillion, it feels like that's how much I lost sometimes as well.
Hey everyone, I'm Gary from Salesforce. I've been leading the Web3 product there. So we worked for 1.5 years building the product and released it March 14. Before that, my way to get exposed to blockchain and Bitcoin was literally back in Belgium. I'm from Belgium. My accent is not from San Francisco, obviously. The story there is that we built the first Bitcoin marketplace or exchange in Belgium. That was a side project, and I ended up not doing it completely because I got my first kid at that stage, and I was like, how am I going to explain my wife that I'm doing a Bitcoin marketplace and I might end up in jail and my kid is there? So I was like, okay, you know what? We'll see how the regulations are changing. We spoke to many lawyers and the lawyers were completely lost when it comes to Bitcoin 10 years ago. I think they're still a bit lost right now, but we'll see how it will evolve over the next few years.
Yeah, I'm Madhukar Punyani. I work for a startup called Sardine.ai that's basically a Web3 native. What brought me to Web3, you know, naturally it was payments, right? When you think about the way payments are done and what payments are doing and what blockchain is as a technology, that interest, that deep-rooted interest in making payments fast, quick. I'm an immigrant. I used to send money back, and you know, I think about it and I say, why a messaging system and why not a contract over the blockchain? And that's what brought me to Web 3.0.
Thank you. So what I really love about this panel is the diversity of perspectives that we have on the stage. So we've got a Web3 native company that's selling product and services to a wide range of customers, some of them native, some of them more incumbent players. We've got somebody at a big tech company like Salesforce who's thinking about how do you embed the blockchain in the firm and what are the products that you want to bring to market first. And then we've got somebody who is part of building an infrastructure that's purpose-built for enterprise adoption. So really excited that we get to hear each of their perspectives as we think about how the enterprise and the blockchain are coming together. Gary, I'm actually going to start with you at Salesforce. Tell me, so I think of Salesforce as one of the tech companies that has done the most in terms of leaning into the blockchain. Curious to know if that resonates for you, and what was it about Salesforce culturally, strategically, organizationally that allowed them to do what they do?
All right, so I think the story there goes like this. Mark Benioff, the CEO of Salesforce, owns Time Magazine. And what happened is that Time Magazine released NFT collection. So they released timepieces like 1.5 years ago, 2 years ago, and then they realized they got extra revenue, but they got extra engagement. They got on Discord, around 20,000 people engage on their Discord every day. And they were like, oh, wait a minute, this is a new way to engage with customers, we need to explore this. Then we saw Adidas going on the market, and Adidas released some NFTs as well. And we are like, wait a minute, one of our biggest customers is releasing NFTs. We thought our technology, we thought our help. Maybe we need to do something there. And so that's how we started, like 1 year ago, 1.5 years ago actually. And so what we realized essentially is that in the world of NFTs, which is like digital products that companies can sell and so on, we are like, wait a minute. We are providing the Commerce Cloud website, we are providing their e-commerce site, but we are not providing the product. Can we provide this to them? And so that's how we got on that market of building a solution that is allowing them to create smart contracts and create digital products, sell them on the website, and then bring back the data inside Salesforce. And the main point there was many projects for NFTs were about utility. Utility for me is a customer experience, and customer experience is managed in a CRM, generally speaking. So that's how we built the product for Salesforce.
Can you say more about, I think you have 2 products that you're particularly focused on. Can you say more on what those are?
Yeah, so we have one called NFT Management. That one is allowing you don't have to know about blockchain, you don't have to know about smart contracts, just clicks. You define what kind of product, what kind of collection you want to release, and you deploy that on blockchain. Ethereum, Polygon, we support like public blockchain. And then the other product is about Web3 Connect, and that was more for the Adidas and people like this in the world that already have their product, already their digital collection out there, they already have their smart contracts. What they don't have is the data back in their CRM. So amazingly enough, for example, in the case of Adidas, they have a few moderators dealing with Discord all day long, and it's very complex to do that, rather than simply saying, hey, let's bring that data back inside our CRM, and then the call center will deal with issues on the Discord community or issues with the NFTs and so on. So rather than inventing your whole stack again, just use what you have been already using for customer experience and customer engagement.
That's really helpful. I have one more question for you, and then I'll go to the other panelists. When you think about the journey that you were on at Salesforce and building these products and bringing them to life, what was one of the biggest headwinds that you navigated, and how did you get to the other side?
Amazingly enough, so we had pretty good customer traction. Like many customers came to us. We spoke to so many CIOs over the last year that they already wanted to know what to do and so on. But the biggest headwind we got was internally. We had 500 employees that signed a petition against the department and against my product to stop it, because we were like, okay, it's not sustainable. It's not going in the, NFTs, it's just only scams and so on. And so we had to enable a lot of people. We had to train a lot of people in terms of, okay, Web3 is not only like the NFTs that you see where it's very high speculation and so on. It's a lot of other things that are happening as well. So that was our biggest headwind. It was actually that backlash, and then we worked with it. So that was a product opportunity for us. Was like, okay, what about sustainability? Can we work only with blockchains that are sustainable? What about risk of money laundering? Can we have inside our product anti-money laundering solution, and we partner with Chainalysis? So we use that backlash as a way to improve our product even further, and so that's how we got the product to the level where we are right now.
Great. So what I'm hearing at a high level is when you're thinking about building adoption of the blockchain in a company like Salesforce, it's not just about selling to customers. It's also about education internally and bringing on an entire organization to align to this technology.
Selling internally as much as externally. And then we have the sponsorship from the Chief Product Officer and from Mark Benioff. So that was helping a lot as well in terms of when somebody didn't want to do what I was asking, I could tell them, hey guys, you can go and speak to them if you want.
Mark Benioff always helps grease the wheels. Okay, so I want to shift to the other end of the spectrum in terms of the panelists that we have on stage. We've started with Salesforce, big incumbent tech player. Let's go to a Web3 native startup like Sardine.ai. Help me understand first, what does Sardine.ai do? Who are your customers? What's the product you're delivering to them?
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. Of course, not everybody's like Salesforce to have people. And so there are all these companies that you talked about. Our customers include Nike, they include Mattel, we're talking Disney. There are all these other companies.
A little closer to your mouth.
That want to be in the Web3 now and are wondering about how to do it. So Autograph, Tom Brady. And basically what we're providing now is a full stack solution where you can not be a native and have an NFT, or you cannot be a native and buy an asset. And for that, all the things that you just spoke about, we interact with everything. We have a secret sauce, which is like the behavior, identity of the person on their device intelligence. We started as a fraud prevention company first. So our ethics lie in making this safe and sustainable, and that gives us a lot of headwind against the headwinds that the industry is facing right now with regulation. So we have the tailwind to say, look, we started by fraud prevention on Web3 companies, on blockchain, and what we're now enabling is the full stack. So what we do is we come in and we say, okay, we'll do a design session, or we'll do any part of the process that is unclear to you and you need a tech stack. So it may be onboarding the customer, it may be AML KYC, it may be settling, it may be the asset and conversion or minting. So we'll have partners in the infrastructure that we will directly integrate to and provide you with a one-stop solution.
That's really helpful. If you think about where I started this conversation today, it was with some of the headwinds that we saw in 22, a lot of the big crises that happened kind of impact public sentiment. As you were selling into enterprise customers, was there any shift in your approach to navigate that?
Definitely. There's an education piece, as Gary has told you himself, that they were fighting 500 people inside their companies. So it was a recognition that we had to do, right? Shift from, hey, everybody's all systems go, come in and tell us about Web3 and tell us to, hey, what do you guys do? And why do you do it? And how will you make sure that it's not risky for us? Because it's going to be only a sliver of our profitability or our business. We don't want to risk our entire business. And this is often a case for a large corporation. There's a new trend coming. Should we jump on it now? Is it going to risk our major businesses? Are the regulations ready? And so there was a lot of shift on going towards how we make sure that there's anti-money laundering regulation is being followed. What are the rules in our system that will trigger and flag these things? Why fraud, as you see it within a system, is different than general corporate fraud, which can happen in any sector, right? Which happens in any new sector that comes up. So will you stop using credit cards because there's credit card fraud? Will you stop issuing bank checks because there's bank check fraud? Will you stop using gold because gold plating is a fraud? You can go back into time, and there's always going to be a fraud for something that is needed by society.
It's really helpful, and I'd love to bring you into the conversation, Christian. So as I understand it, Hedera was purpose-built to think about enterprise adoption from day one. What does that mean?
Yes, thank you. There are two things that make Hedera unique. One is it is a public blockchain, but it's built on an alternative technology to blockchain called Hashgraph. That was designed from the get-go to be incredibly scalable, so very, very fast. It settles very, very quickly with finality. And it also has this property of security that is bank-grade security. And obviously, enterprises are very focused on security. And then the other thing that makes Hedera unique is that we are governed, the network is governed by large global organizations. So there are 28 large enterprises and universities that govern the network. What does that mean? It means that they run the mainnet nodes in the network, so you know exactly who is processing your transactions, you know where they're processing them. They govern the code base, so they have requirements of the code for their enterprise use cases. They're able to steer the code base to actually be able to accommodate those requirements as well. And then they manage the treasury of the cryptocurrency as well. So as Kalok said, we are purpose-built from the ground up to cater to enterprises. And it's been a really interesting experience. We've definitely swum against the current of the entire Web3 ecosystem in that approach.
That's helpful. I am thinking about one of the headwinds that comes up when I talk to enterprise leaders, and it's often around the regulatory environment. And I was talking with Christian earlier around, we both started in the space around 2017. And I was working on a layer 1 protocol, and we were thinking about our ICO and getting all excited. And I said, were you guys thinking about the same thing? And I was surprised to hear no. Tell me a little bit about that, and more importantly, how you thought about regulatory more broadly as it relates to being purpose-built for enterprise adoption.
Yes, Gary, you said that you had a conversation with your wife about going to prison 10 years ago. I didn't want to have that conversation. So one of the reasons I ended up joining Hedera full-time was that they took a very, very conservative and regulatory posture. So we said no to the ICO boom in 2017. People said, you're crazy. We actually did a Reg D, SEC compliant fundraise, so only accredited investors could purchase this agreement for future tokens. Subsequent fundraisers have also complied with both SEC and CFTC regulations. We didn't take the easy money, we went for the very hard money. You know, I don't even go to the bathroom without asking a lawyer at Hedera if it's okay to go. Like, everything we put out into the market talks about the utility of the network and how organizations can benefit from building on the technology versus anything to do with the cryptocurrency. Again, that was very much swimming against the current, but we sleep well at night, and that's super, super important.
That's helpful. So we've talked a little bit about headwinds. I want this to also be exciting and what's driving momentum in the space. So I'm going to shift our frame to thinking about the tailwinds. Would love to hear from all of you. What are the things that give you a lot of optimism about the future of blockchain? Maybe give one example of what you're seeing that you're excited about.
So on my side, I think a couple of things. First, you see a lot of enterprise going in the game. So I think compared to 10 years ago, nobody knew what crypto is, nobody knew what Bitcoin is, blockchain, and so on. Now you see more and more people are understanding what is feasible with all these technologies. So you see more enterprise. Also, I think amazingly enough, with the trend on AI and GPT that's happening right now, I think all this will merge. Like many things powered by AI could be merged with blockchain as well. Like when you look at OpenAI, they sell token for their APIs. These tokens could potentially be cryptos, and so on. You need more transparency in AI. That could be also used for blockchain. So I think that side is exciting me, and the other side for enterprise is exciting me in terms of interoperability. When you look at what Adidas did with Bored Ape, so Bored Ape was releasing their NFT collection, they were super successful, and then Adidas, 3 weeks after, did a partnership with them. I don't think there was ever a partnership done as fast as that in enterprise, and I think that's what brands need to realize, is that if you go and do blockchain, that interoperability, the fact that you don't have to discuss about, hey, who is owning the database, that can really make a partnership much faster. So if Adidas want to partner with whichever project out there, it's like 3 weeks and they're off selling a product with another partner, which is unbelievable.
I love that. I've actually talked to a few big enterprises who had a head of blockchain at the firm-wide level, and now they're tagging them as the head of generative AI. And I think you're spot on that the transformative technology that generative AI represents is only turbocharged by pairing it with the blockchain. So really exciting. Would love to hear from you, Duke.
Yeah, so Absolutely, the tailwinds. So the headwinds were the regulatory we talked about. The headwinds were the news, the news media, the short cycles, but they're heavy. Tailwinds. Anecdotally, my 10-year-old wants a Bitcoin for his birthday. So, and in real terms, the broader adoption that's coming in from the technological level, right, as gaming, as smart contracts for assets go digital. We're talking to a housing company. How many of you have bought houses here? And there's 40 intermediaries. Why do you have to get title insurance? That's going to go on NFT. So as the digital world becomes representative of large physical assets that you are acquiring and gives you the certification where you don't have to go to a third party to have a physical custody of the asset that you already have, as your identity becomes your blockchain, that's giving a lot of hope to us, because that means broader adoption, that means broader technological advancements, and that means a lot of investment will turn around and come in from other channels, right? AI, gaming, fintech, payments, cross-border payments. And if the stablecoin is a reality, then you can send money to Mexico or to other places where the stablecoin is accepted for $0. And that goes back into the economy, because that 2% doesn't go away. It goes to generate more jobs, generate more economics, and you cannot take that away, because 2% growth for global doesn't happen every day.
So while my wallet balance doesn't love this bear market, I am incredibly bullish on the bear market. Why? Because that's when real things get built. That's when organizations and companies that have no business being around get wiped out. And what will emerge from this are really solid projects backed by real use cases. And I do believe, like my fellow panelists, everything that can be represented by data will be tokenized. And this leads to new business opportunities, fair value exchange, less fraud. And yeah, it'll take us a long time to get there, but we'll get there.
I couldn't agree with you more, Christian. Final question. You each get 1 minute. You have a room full of Fortune 500 CEOs. They're all grappling with whether or not to lean into the blockchain. Many of them are saying, I'm going to hold off, it's too uncertain. What's your one piece of advice you would want to give them? I'll look to see who's ready.
I'll start. All right, so my piece of advice, I think back to what Nikhil was presenting as well, like nobody is getting it right the first time. Like even Salesforce, when I built this product, we pivot 3 or 4 times before we got really to the real product market fit. Same for you, like if you want to be there in blockchain over the next 5 years, and blockchain is not going to disappear, it's just going to be more and more adopted, you need to start now and probably fail a couple of times before you get it right. But if you don't take that stage of failing for a couple of times, fail small, but fail fast, you'll be behind your competition. So I think keep these innovation department open, try some projects, try NFTs, try crypto, payments, whatever is real for your business and making sense, but try. And leave room for failures and for learnings, and that's how you are going to actually build your innovation at your company.
Yeah, my advice would be look for areas where more than one organization or more than one department or more than one person has a reason not to trust the other. That's a friction point that can always be solved by public blockchain. I'll give you a very quick example of that. This is the most boring use case in the world, but this is a really good one. So DLA Piper is one of the world's largest law firms. They're distributed all over the world, and they have to do this internal billing. And as we know, lawyers inflate, hours over here. Everyone should be a lawyer in this space, by the way. They're the ones making the money. But then they have to do these bill backs, and there's a lot of haggling that happens, and it takes 18 months to reconcile these things. It's just ridiculous. So they collaborated with another council member, ServiceNow, and they are tokenizing their internal budgets. And what this means is that each department gets their budget tokenized, so they get their currency, and they settle immediately, right? You want this utility over here from this department? No problem. The individual themselves can settle that. It brings this 18-month cycle and this haggling down to 3 seconds. And that drives incredible business efficiency. These are the use cases you never hear about, but they're really transformative.
And you know, the room full of CEOs have to always look at examples that are in the real world. So you have to think about, am I going to be Blockbuster or am I going to be Netflix? Am I going to be on the trend or I'm not? The first phones, smartphones, probably don't exist anymore, the Palms, Blackberries, but you know what? I don't know if anybody in this room has a feature phone. They all have smartphones. So either you're going to be Motorola and Nokia, all these giants that are not there, or you're going to be Apple and Google and Samsung, and you're going to be there. So you got to start adopting the trend. You got to start the experiments, the internal use cases, and you got to get out there, and you have to have an ecosystem ready where people can interact with it and derive value, right? The first video conference machine was 80,000. Now you can tell in WhatsApp and talk to your friends and family now. So you got to be in front of the trends.
Great. Well, I want to thank all of our panelists for participating today. If you have any questions for us after the talk, we're happy to find time later. Thank you.
Thank you.